This week on the Computer Chronicles, computer and internet crime. We'll show you how websites can capture your private information and use it in a way that could hurt you. We'll show you what the SEC and the state of California are doing to catch investment scam operators on the net. Don Parker is one of the world's leading experts on computer crime. He'll show us how hackers can break into your website. And virus is the nastiest computer crime of all. We'll show you some software that will help you protect your PC. Plus, my pick of the week, one cool way to get out of jail. It's all coming up next on the Computer Chronicles. The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, lawyering with integrity for internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Well, the good news about the internet is that it is open. No matter what computer you're on, no matter what operating system you're using, everyone can communicate with everyone else. The bad news is that once you log on to the net, you are part of an open, two-way network, and bad people can do bad things to you and your computer. We're going to start with a look at several internet risks for the average user, and here to help us is Connie Guglielmo, Silicon Valley Bureau Chief for Interactive Week, and author of actually their cover story on the Black Market Bazaar on the web, and we're going to talk about some of those things. Connie, let me ask you about privacy first of all. That's one of the things a lot of people are concerned about. You go to a website, it says we have a privacy policy, and you assume, oh, okay, my behavior is protected, I'm private. Not so, huh?
That's right. There is no standard today for privacy online. The FTC is looking at mandating that sites put some sort of privacy statement that assures you that your privacy is protected. But today, basically, anybody can put up a privacy statement as long as they disclose what it is that they're doing with the data they collect.
So where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I'm buying, somebody can be following me all the way through.
That's right.
Now, you have one example up here of the Ticketmaster site, for example, and if you go through that, it says somewhere we have a privacy policy, right?
That's right. On the opening page, if you scroll down to the bottom, in very small point size, it says our privacy policy.
And I would assume, oh, cool, they have a privacy policy, I don't have to worry.
And I think most people would assume that.
But nobody ever reads the privacy policy.
Well, very few people do, and that's why we're showing it to you today.
Okay, and what does it say, in fact?
It discloses, as I said, what they collect and what they do with that information. And if you actually take the time to read their policy, there's a little subhead here. Will Ticketmaster Online share this information with other parties?
You bet.
How convenient. And if you read it, they do indeed share that information. Now, who do they share it with? Promoters of events, certain of our third-party partners. And that's anybody they want it to.
Anybody.
That's right.
So you should assume that somebody can use the information about your behavior on a website.
That's right.
Even if they have a privacy policy.
You should always click. If you're concerned about privacy on the web, it's up to you. It's up to you to check, to read,
and there's no option here, click this block if you don't want us to use your information.
No, a lot of websites actually have an opt-out policy, but not as many as you would like to.
All right, let's talk about actually people on the web, people running sites that are doing illegal things like selling you stuff they shouldn't be selling you, like prescription drugs.
That's right. We did a survey several months back and looked at some of the vices that people have. Tobacco, drugs, guns, alcohol. The good news is that we found that you could not buy guns online. People were very considerate about that.
An example we hear about is buying Viagra online without ever seeing a doctor or being examined.
That's right. If we go to the Viagra order page at Online Physicians, it takes you to 2 or 3 simple screens. One of them is a medical consultation screen where you agree that you've been consulted.
Are you alive? Yeah.
Are you breathing? Are you clicking? And then if you click,
you're qualified.
You're qualified. Actually, the final qualification is putting in your address and your credit card data.
Yeah, that's a credit card number. That's a
Once you've done that, you've been qualified.
So you can buy prescription drugs, which could be dangerous for you online without ever talking to a doctor.
That's right, and we've done it.
All right, you mentioned alcohol. You can buy booze online even if you're underage? I don't want this to be a tutorial for kids, but it should be for parents.
That's right. Again, we found another site on the web where you can buy wine and other spirits. It's a supermarket. This is koshersupermarket.com. That's right. And again, the assumption is that you're using a credit card to buy it. I am sure that they're not expecting a lot of children to find this site. Koshersupermarket.com is not an Amazon sort of supermarket there.
But however, if you're a minor, you can buy the alcohol.
If you have access to a credit card and have a place to have it shipped, we go to the wine and spirits section, and there's quite a selection of imported whites, reds, specialty liqueurs. Again, you can buy what you want here. It conveniently gives you the total. I go to checkout, give them my credit card, and I'm on my way.
All right, same idea with buying tobacco, right? Even if you're under 18, you go to certain sites, you can just go out there and buy cigarettes and cigars and so on.
Again, the advantage of the web is that you get a lot of selection and choice when it comes to these product sites. The disadvantage is if you don't want to have your underage child shopping on the web, then you should probably be very careful about where they're going.
Last thing, Connie, there is a site that sort of rates a lot of these e-commerce sites, so you have some idea of how qualified, how reliable a particular vendor is.
That's right.
Just show us that one real quick.
This holiday season, November and December, consumers are expected to spend $6 billion online. It's the biggest online shopping season ever.
So where should you go?
And there's a lot of concern about where to shop, especially if you're a new buyer. And bizrate.com has a site which ranks websites, and they use it based on the data of consumers who have shopped there before you. So you're actually getting buying information.
If you're not sure about an online site, you can go to Bizrate and check them out.
And I would absolutely suggest that you do that.
Connie, thank you very much. The internet has been great for empowering investors. Low cost, quick access, lots of data, but the speed and availability of internet investment sites also makes it ripe territory for scam artists. Now, the SEC deals with this problem at the federal level. At the state level, California seems to be the mecca for investment scams. And to deal with the problem, the state has created a special agency to investigate and prosecute online securities fraud. Andrew Holmes is an attorney with the agency's San Francisco office. Andrew, give us an idea of the kinds of cases that come to your office. What kind of investment frauds take place on the web?
There are all sorts. There's everything from the classic pump and dump scheme where you have folks lurking in chat rooms talking up stocks and unbeknownst to you.
Pump up the price and then dump it and sell it.
Exactly. There's also the non-existent company that people try to sell shares in. There's a good example of that actually recently that our department ended up working with the Santa Cruz District Attorney's Office. It was a company called Interactive Products and Services.
Okay. And they were raising money online?
They were raising money online. They were calling themselves the next Microsoft. Had a very glossy website, very professional looking. But when the investors and when the regulators took a closer look, we realized that there was no substance to any of the claims.
There was no there. Right.
And that's one of our...
so people have invested money, lost money, the guy took off or whatever?
Well, luckily, that often happens. The guy takes off. In this case, we caught the guy, and the Santa Cruz District Attorney prosecuted, and he's now a resident of the state prison system for the next 10 years.
All right.
That's a good example. But for every one that we catch, there are probably hundreds that we don't even know about.
All right, so it's sort of buyer beware here in a way, right? And I want you to show some of the websites where we can go to verify that the person we're dealing with online is legit. So
Sure.
where would we start?
Well, I have up on the screen the California Department of Corporations.
Okay, this is your agency, right?
This is my agency.
Okay.
There's a lot of information here. There's an investor education button that you can go to and learn a lot about. But what I would recommend is that if you're dealing with an individual that you're trying to figure out...
So a guy's trying to sell me commodities online, convincing me I'm going to make a lot of money real quick, and I say, who is this guy?
Right. Well, if it's a commodities seller, then there's a good place to go to. You can go to a site called the National Futures Association.
Okay.
They take care of all of the licensing for anyone who trades on any exchange that the CFTC...
I'd want to check, is my company listed with the NFA?
Right, and then you go through and you check the I agree to the conditions box, and you can run a search either by their NFA number or by the name or by the name of their firm.
All right, so how about outside futures, say just securities deals, you know, like the one you talked about?
Sure, securities in general, you can go to
NASD?
the NASD regulation site. They have a public portion of their central registry.
So that's
depository.
National Association of Security Dealers?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct, and they're responsible for the majority of the licensing in the securities industry. You can go here and you can check about your broker, and through various clicks and through here you can get online information.
Yeah.
You can also go and get an 800 number to call, and they can give you a lot of information about your broker.
Guy goes online and says, I'm a financial planner, give me your money, I'll take care of it for you. How do I go check him out?
That's a very common problem. People claim to be certified financial planners when they're not. That's actually a site or a designation that you can check at the Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards website. They'll allow you to do a search to determine whether or not someone actually is licensed, and then obviously if you don't find your person, you may have a problem.
Yeah. All right, online guy selling me insurance, best deal in the world, you got to go with me.
Again, there's a good site. The Department of Insurance has a website where you can check under their producer licensing. You can check the insurance company itself, and you can also check the particular agent or broker that's working for that insurance company and find out if they have any bad things, or if, in fact, they even are licensed.
Now, in general, if we're dealing with something the guy claims is a registered security, I can go right to the SEC site, can I, and check on what he's telling me?
Sure. The SEC has a very good website. It's got lots of investor education materials, lots of stuff about their enforcement cases, and it also has the Edgar database online. And you can go in and type in the company name, and if they have indeed filed things with the SEC, you should find it.
Now, you also, I saw you have a bookmark called Scam Buster Sites. What is that?
Sure. There are a lot of individuals out there and groups, or in this case, the Stock Detective is one that we use often, that talk about the various frauds that are prevalent on the internet.
Okay, so this is a site that's out there looking for scams and frauds and sort of reporting on it?
To a certain extent, yes.
Okay.
They do it as a public service. Sometimes they have ads running on their screens, but often these sites are useful in that they'll have found out about some of the more common and bigger frauds that are on the web.
We're having trouble getting this one up. Maybe we can...
Yeah, let's perhaps go to a different one here.
Try something else
let's try Scam Busters.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, well, of course. But here's another one.
Okay.
This has all sorts of fraudulent things online as well as securities. The Stock Detective is devoted mostly to securities and that sort of thing.
Are there links on your website actually for this, or is this just your private stuff?
Well, this is my private stuff that I like to peruse. When you go to our website, we do have links to other enforcement agencies, and you can find a lot from there.
Andrew, thanks a lot. Sure. All right, well, while the internet and computers create tempting opportunities for criminals, they also can become excellent crime-fighting tools in the hands of law enforcement officials. Perhaps one of the best examples is the use of computers to match fingerprints with criminal suspects. We have a report.
Fingerprints that are left behind at a crime scene and then dusted by law enforcement officials are called latent prints. For example, this latent print was left on a fake bomb used in a New York City bank robbery in 1992. The question was, who did it belong to? During the initial investigation of the crime, the FBI was unsuccessful in matching it to one of the millions the agency had on file.
We have 35 million criminal records within our system of different individuals with different prints.
Needed a different system to sort, catalog, and match the millions of prints on file. Enter IAFIS, the Integrated Automated Fingerprint Identification System, now fully operational. The system's first success was in identifying the print from that 1992 bank robbery. It belonged to convicted criminal Gregory Young. When his fingerprints were obtained from a different crime and fed into the IAFIS, the system made the match. Put simply, the automated system processes state and local requests for fingerprint searches, something that used to take days or weeks, now only takes hours.
We'll determine that identity of that individual with less than 2 hours while they're still being held in their jail cell.
In bottom line, it means that criminals that heretofore would have walked away and potentially fled a jurisdiction will now be arrested.
Using technology transitioned from the military, IAFIS matches prints using mathematical algorithms similar to those that make it possible to identify targets on the battlefield. Here at the FBI complex in Clarksburg, West Virginia, a sophisticated network of computers performs 3 million fingerprint matches per second, but greater speed is only one of the benefits.
Greater accuracy, greater efficiency, greater effectiveness.
The system now links every state and local jurisdiction across the country. It can also be used for background checks for job applicants, check writing, and gun purchases. But those involved with IAFIS believe its most important role is helping to catch crooks.
We'll see far fewer criminals left on the street.
And that should reduce the crime rate in the country.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
One of the great fears of any company running a website is that hackers will get into it, steal information, or tamper with the site. To take a look at this type of computer crime, we have with us Don Parker and Rick Millar of SRI International. Don is one of the most well-known experts in the field of computer security, and he is the author of this book, Fighting Computer Crime. Don, you were with us about 16 years ago on the show talking about computer security. It's gotten a lot worse because of these automated hacking tools that are out there.
It sure has. This is the most significant advance in the hacker world and in crime. And that is that very few highly skilled hackers can create these automated tools that can be used by any number of script kiddies of hackers who have very little skill and yet can do the most powerful crimes in the world.
They can multiply their evil by passing it on to people who aren't as knowledgeable.
That's correct.
All right, Rick, let's set up a scenario here. We're in the valley here. I live in one of these new high-tech buildings with a T1 line going through. I'm in my apartment there, and there happens to be another guy who lives in the same building who's a network administrator. You can actually get in there, hack into his site, and mess around with his website, right?
Exactly. All I need to do is put a sniffer on my machine. It's just a piece of software that listens and pulls packets of information off of the network.
Such as his password and his ID.
Exactly. And with that information, I can pretend to be the network administrator myself.
Show us how you would do that.
Okay. First thing I would do is, using the information I gain, I know that he's running his web server administration server on port 3051.
So you can get in there?
Yes. So I go to, and got
now
his user
you know his
ID.
ID and password.
Yes. And using that, we get in, and now I have essentially full control over his web server.
You're now running his server administration.
Exactly.
Cool.
And what the exploit I'm going to do is I'm going to add an additional CGI bin directory, which is a special type of directory that will allow you to execute programs instead of just bringing up a web server.
So you could actually dump your own content onto his website now.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
just tell us what you're doing.
I'm adding here the directory that's just going to point to the actual directory on their web server, which is user openwin bin.
Okay, the way to dump your stuff onto his site.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ultimately, that's what will happen.
And you've done it.
I've done that.
Yeah. So now you have access.
So now I have access. So what I can do now is, by typing in this new URL here, which is at Evil Hacker, and then the command I'm going to be typing is the xterm, which is going to execute on their web server.
Okay.
But this display command here will display it on my own computer. So just by doing that, I now have an xterm window to their machine.
So you're really in deep now inside his system.
Yes, I'm at the operating system level. And now what I can do is FTP files off of my machine down to their web server, to deface it or whatever.
Right. So you can dump a message on his homepage.
Exactly. But one other thing, in addition to being able to just deface it, a more sophisticated user, seeing as how this is an e-commerce site, what you would want to do also is perhaps be able to capture sensitive information like credit card information, things like that, and have it automatically emailed back to me.
So now that you have control at the deep level there, you can actually steal people's credit cards.
I can do anything I want, basically.
Yeah.
Additionally, the administrator made the mistake of running their web server as a root user, which is the super user.
So you can find out actually what he calls himself.
And actually, I have full control over the whole web server at the operating system level too. And with this information, I can launch attacks.
Well, Don, how risky is the world out there right now? I mean, this seems so relatively easy to do.
It's too easy for just about any target and any of these hackers today. But what's more important in the near future is completely automated crimes. We were using a simple sniffer here, like finding the garlic factory in Gilroy. What we're doing here is we can combine these simple tools with the more sophisticated attacks once you get root access into these networks and into the websites. And you can do the complete crime in a single computer program. For the first time in history, it's now possible to possess a crime. Not just do a crime, but possess it and then do it over and over. The perfect crime, because you can test them endlessly.
That's right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Well, for most PC users, the biggest potential computer crime and the worst fear is that someone will infect your computer with a virus. Anyone who's been through a virus attack knows what a nightmare that can be. One of the leading companies in helping users protect themselves from viruses is McAfee, and Shrivatz Sampath is the president and CEO of McAfee.com. Let me explain what we asked you to do here. So before we were sort of simulating a demo. This is real. You came into our office here, took a look at this computer, which we thought was perfectly clean, and I said, run McAfee, and we're crawling with viruses in here.
Absolutely.
Show us what you found.
When we were setting up the computer, we had a very interesting experience. We went in and just scanned your drive. And we had a very interesting experience where we found that you had almost 5 files infected with the Groove virus.
Yeah.
And
Now, we didn't know this, and we don't know, maybe it's doing damage, maybe it will do damage.
It could. I mean, the groove has many variants, and what you basically have here is the generic version.
Now, can we use your software to go in and figure out what the groove is going to do to me?
Absolutely. You can go to the virus information library, find out what the groove virus can do, what the variants can do. Now, you can come back, and you can clean these viruses by clicking on the virus that you want.
So I can sort of go in there, evaluate the risk to me, figure out what damage it might have done, and then clean them up.
Correct. I mean, it's like an online service center. You bring your PC there, we'll detect it for you, and we'll clean it for you.
Now, that's what I want to ask you about next, is sort of online service center. You're sort of an application service provider, right? Because this thing is actually not a shrink wrap package anymore.
Correct.
There's the stuff up there at McAfee.com that I can pull down to solve my problems. How exactly does that work?
Basically, what we've done is we've taken the traditional software and implemented it as a service. So you can access it through your browser from any time, any place on the internet.
Right.
The reason we did that is virus software typically is very update intensive.
Exactly. You think you're protected, and tomorrow something else comes out, and you don't have the protection.
You might have updated yourself yesterday, a new virus could have come out tomorrow, and you got an email that was infected with that. With this, you basically just go take your PC, park it at McAfee.com, we'll scan, we'll detect, we'll clean for you. Now, we also have real-time components that get downloaded to your PC that protects you while you're not offline. So this is what we're bringing together is the internet and the software in a service metaphor.
Now, are we on your website right now? Is that what we're doing? So we were
website.
actually using your internet application.
Sure.
Anything else you could show us in terms of some of the functionality?
Absolutely. The way we are positioning McAfee.com is the online PC manager.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with managing PCs, protecting PCs, and updating PCs.
So I'm an individual user. I don't have a network administrator. I don't know all this complicated stuff. I'm saying you guys do it for me?
Correct. We're the IT for the normal home user.
Okay. And what other options could I do with McAfee.com?
I could show you, the hard drive cleaner. When you browse the internet, you collect a lot of junk.
Right.
We just looked at your PC.
Okay, so you got a variety of tools other than just the virus fixer things.
Sure.
Now, the world is changing, and as you know, not only do we have internet now, but we're about to have, all the time internet. People with DSL lines, people with cable modems coming in where the internet's up all the time. Does that, I would think, increase the exposure to viruses?
Absolutely. If you really look at corporations, they're putting a lot of effort in place to protect their networks, whereas the home user is totally unaware of what can be done, what could happen to their PC.
And what we saw over there, I mean, you're exposed 24 hours a day potentially.
Yeah, the person who's hacking probably will get more out of hacking into your personal computer than out of a corporate network. Because on your personal computer, you got your tax records, you got your credit card records, you got your wills, who knows? You know.
And now, are you addressing that problem? Is there some another level you guys have to go to at McAfee to deal with that?
I'm in the quiet period, so I can't talk about it. But stay tuned.
Yeah. So I mean, you're going to be dealing obviously with those problems if there's a demand for doing that.
Protecting always-on networks is a very important component.
Now, if I go to McAfee.com, do I have to pay for this stuff?
Yeah, you pay us $20 a year.
Okay, so you're selling me a subscription service.
Right. It is a service that you subscribe to us. You can use it as many times as you want from as many computers as you want. And we basically built it as a subscription.
And as you point out, the problem with antivirus software is the minute you buy it, it's useless because tomorrow some hacker's coming out with some
And what's
new one.
evolving is, that's the same case for any software.
Yeah.
Because the updates are so intensive and so fast that you can never keep up with them.
Okay, Travles, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's our look at computer and internet crime. I'll be back in just a moment with my pick of the week, software that lets you print your own get-out-of-jail card. Don't miss it. Now for my pick of the week. For decades, people have been playing and enjoying the game of Monopoly, a fun, low-tech game. Then a few years ago, some entrepreneur got the idea of coming out with specialized versions of Monopoly based on places other than Atlantic City. So you could buy New Yorkopoly or Chicagopoly, etc. But now, thanks to the PC and the clever folks at TDC Games, you can use your computer to make your own personalized version of Monopoly, complete with customized board, money, community chest, and chance-type cards. You can even customize the box design so you can give it as a gift. Here's how it works. The package comes with all the needed hardware. You get templates for your own custom board design. You also get templates for the money, for the title deeds, for the cards, community chest, chance, and so on. Then you go into the software and make your own designs for the various parts of the game. You can create unique design elements for the box. You can create your own game board, figure out what kinds of properties you want to be playing with, make up the chance cards, the community chest cards, and even design your own money. In fact, you can import images to put a personal photo on your Monopoly money. You then just print your designs out on the enclosed templates. This is a great idea for a gift or for creating a customized game for your family, your organization, or your own neighborhood. It's called Make Your Own Opoly. It sells for $29, and you can get details at tdcgames.com. That's it for this edition of the Chronicles. Thanks for joining us. Please check out my weekly radio show on the web. Just click on the Talk Radio link at About.com's homepage. That's it for this week. I hope we'll see you here next time. The Computer Chronicles is brought to you by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, Lawyering with Integrity, for internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.